One thing for me, I hope you're ashamed of yourself. You should be. It's 70 degrees out. You have bunny boots on.
Hey everyone, it's me David, and this is video from back in October when I went and did a revisit on the federal courthouse / visitor center. As you can see, it went pretty much unimpeded. They passed the test on the third try, at least for me. Now, the reason why I am showing you this video now is because I have finally got back my FOIA information from DHS. As you can see, it included the horrible photos of my DMV picture and some really bad photos grabbed from some security cameras. But it also included 15 other documents that they sent me, mainly some nice, interesting testimonials from the security agents and, of course, the DHS officer. Now, you may notice that there is in a few spots on the 3 documents I just drew up where there is some numbers stamped in little spaces. Those are where names were at, and those were like the FOIA exemptions where they couldn't give out private info of people's names. Well, I can tell you from the testimony parts that I've read, I can tell you specifically who is who from the video. I have also picked out the highlights of the FOIA requests, and I'm going to read off a few parts of these statements that I think everybody will find interesting. So let us go ahead and start off with the terrorist one. Also, forgive changes in voice tone. I am fighting off a really nasty cold, and it's been a pretty bad past 2 months for me with flu and all that stuff. So let's go ahead and continue. The issue here is that a smart terrorist can take that video or those pictures and can ascertain many things for putting together an attack. I know this from personal experience. Filming someone walking down the public road, as we saw in the case in Portland, Oregon, is one thing, though it seems apparent that this is all part of a semi-organized effort to embarrass all federal officers. However, no one has a constitutional right to put families and children at risk. The issue with our doors at these federal facilities, and that one in particular, is that it being a federal building, it draws attention of those who would do our nation harm, and anyone watching the news has a heightened awareness of bad situations developing across the world. This being the case, having families and children in such a facility, it behooves us to be particularly vigilant. I have been trained and have trained others on how to plan a whole raid from a single picture, because if there is one device in the picture / video whose measurements are standard and known, one can ascertain the measurements of everything in the picture. She can thus determine the amount of munitions, explosives needed to accomplish the attack. It is for this reason and others that these areas are restricted and are not simply public areas. This individual may well think he is doing great things for the nation, exposing the federal overreach, but the unintended consequences of such actions is to allow any and all of those who do us harm to access very particular intel from the internet. This statement specifically came from the guy who sat there and said, I served 20 years in the military, when I said I have a First Amendment right. And I have to say, quite the interesting argument that he has put together. But last time I checked, security issues don't necessarily trump our rights. And if we allow our fear to get the better of us, then doesn't that allow the terrorists to win because they're getting what they want? And also, what are the odds of a terrorist attack actually happening in the United States from someone wanting to do harm in the first place or wanting to commit an actual act of terrorism, it's actually fairly low. I am more likely to actually get shot by the cops. I'm pretty sure that's the case what's going on lately if you pay attention to the news. Or get killed in a car crash, which happens to a lot more people. In fact, it's actually in the top 10 causes of death in the United States, if I remember correctly. And when it comes to ascertaining methods and ways to attack something with just a single picture, well, guess what? I can simply get that single picture I need with a smartphone, which are allowed past that point. I can sit there and pretend to be texting on my smartphone and say, oh yeah, I'm texting, while I'm actually taking secret video or pictures. It's not that hard. So if someone wants to, they can have that place scouted out, have all the pictures they want, measurements and everything, and you wouldn't be the wiser. And they can come back 6 months or a year and hit you, and you would have no idea, because guess what? The security camera footage most likely is already gone from then. And as for unintended consequences, what about the unintended consequences of the militarizing of the police because of our entire security theater that we've been doing and building up since 2001? What about the entirety of issues where we have veterans coming back and committing suicide more often than them getting killed or injured while deployed? What about that unintended consequence of going to war? There's a lot of unintended consequences out there. But there's not much unintended consequences with me filming versus what's going on with our government right now, with everybody's fear-mongering and worrying about, is the terrorist going to attack? So let us see what the other security guard had to say. During the incident, the post was manned and functioning as normal. Someone stated that he thought the violator was attempting to sue the government and put the content on YouTube in statement. This statement alone, just that last part, is very interesting because, yes, this video is going to go on YouTube. That's what I do. I go out and test. This is partially to educate and to inform at the same time. People need to know how to properly exercise their rights and ways to stand up for them, while at the same time knowing what kind of pushback they might get from it, if there is any pushback. Now, as for suing the government, I'm not actively out there trying to find reasons to sue the government. No, I am testing to make sure they are following the Constitution and laws that are out there for people's civil rights. Now, if they go and violate someone's civil rights, yes, I say we need to sue them. We need to punish them in some form. And that's how we punish the government in this day and age at this point, because guess what? The only way we can punish our government is suing them. It's nearly impossible to put a government official in jail. Even if they're accused and charged of corruption, all they do is lose their job. That's it. Now let us go ahead back to the DHS officer and see what interesting part I picked out from his statement. After the subject left, one of the security dudes stated that the subject did not submit to screening after he began the screening process. I confirmed with another security guy and the other security guy that the subject was told to stop filming, and they said yes. I confirmed that the building rules and regulations were posted in the foyer of the northwest lobby where the subject entered the facility. They were there. Since there was a violation of building policy for photographing and following directions of authorized officials, I contacted the subject at 5th and Barrow by the FBI building, blah blah blah. Up to where they stated I did not submit to screening. No, I was submitting to screening. You could see that. It's that they issued an unlawful order, or one that was not legal in the first place if it was legal for me to follow their instructions. I am not legally required to turn off my cameras. And they say I did not know. I submitted the screening. You could see it in the video that I sat there and went through a little bit different process, but I was still screened. They even x-rayed my book back and tried to hold on to it. So right there, that is a false statement in itself that they made to the officer. So that there could be a big issue. But obviously, most likely there's not going to be any punishment for them lying to the officer. So I don't really have any reason to really do a pushback against DHS, because from what I see here, it was the security guards that initiated this entire fiasco with the courts because of that one statement saying I didn't go through the screening process. So I don't know if this is a symptom or something that happened because we are subcontracting out now our security for government buildings. Is it an issue because we are making sure we're not enforcing them getting the right training or certain kind of training? That's a whole different bag that we're going to have to look at in the future if this is a continued occurrence when it comes to security guards that are subcontracted out doing security for various government buildings. But I have a feeling it's not necessarily the security themselves. I think it's the training in general, in my opinion, that is causing this problem that we have with security harassing people trying to exercise their rights, or going about their normal day business while doing perfectly legal things. Now, to wrap this up, I will be putting up pretty much most of the FOIA request documents online to where you'll be able to see it. I'll be putting them in the description of this video so you guys can see it. I gotta do some, of course, my own editing on that stuff because it's got some private information on the FOIA for myself, because I FOIA'd all the information relating to myself. There is still a few things they did not send me that I requested information on, so I have to follow up on that part. As for me, myself, I have been busy being sick or just trying to get by financially, which is not easy to do in the state of Alaska during winter. The cold comes in, everything gets more expensive, fuel, all that stuff. Well, fuel, thank goodness, for vehicles has gone down in price. But don't worry, I'm still trying to be active as possible. If you're wanting to know what I'm up to, you can always find me on the subreddit Am I Free to Go, or the new subreddit Pinac, which is a supporting subreddit for the Photography is Not a Crime, where I'm a moderator at. You can probably ping me through those spots if you really want to get a hold of me directly. And I am in the process of still trying to get 2 big projects out. I don't know if I'll be able to get one of them out by the end of the year, beginning of next year part. Right now, I'm just trying to get by. But as soon as I get a chance, I'll get those videos and get those 2 big projects. I'm really sure you guys are going to enjoy the second one that is going to be somewhat of a large fiasco once it goes public.